It's one of the most censored stories of the year that we have not gotten to yet. That's at projectcensored.org if you want the full list or want to get their book. But this is about how most censored, meaning their most censored list means it's not barely covered on mainstream media, but
not
at all. Sometimes not at all. Sometimes barely. Corporate profits hit record high as the top 0.1% earnings and Wall Street bonuses skyrocket. So I know you guys know that Wall Street's exploiting all of us tremendously, but I didn't even know that like this past year was record highs. I mean, literally record, as people are struggling in so many ways. 2/3 of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Roughly 2/3 of Americans also can't afford a home for themselves. So, meanwhile, corporate profits rose to an all-time high in 2022, producing an explosion in income for the very wealthy. It was reported for Common Dreams. The non-financial corporate profits in the second quarter of 2022 hit $2 trillion, an increase of 8% from the same period the year before. Economic Policy Institute also did a study on this that showed the earnings of the wealthiest 0.1% in the United States grew by 465% between 1979 and 2021, while the income of the bottom 90% grew less than 29%. So it's not just that the rich continue to be far richer than the rest. That would be one story, why are things not getting better for the poorer people? But it's actually that the rich are getting exponentially richer in comparison to the poorest Americans. So it's like the problem, which has been a problem, for 100 years, is just getting exponentially worse.
And I'm just reading here an analysis by inequality.org of New York State Comptroller data found that the average bonus for Wall Street employees rose 1,743% between 1985 and 2021. And in 2021 alone, Wall Street bonuses grew 20%, far outpacing inflation at 7%. And that year, Wall Street bonuses in aggregate amounted to $45 billion. So this also speaks to, when people say oh, inflation, we really got to tighten our belts or whatever the hell they say, because inflation, it's like inflation is something that that is imposed on us by the same assholes that got $40 billion worth of bonuses.
Yeah.
Like the idea that inflation is something that has to happen to even shit out. No. Inflation is something that is imposed on the people, not the oligarchs, so that they can see more of the profits than they already have. It is a remarkably sick and twisted system. And again, it's like, it's one of those stories I'm not surprised, but it's like
you kind of know it, but you need to see the studies for the proof. But,
and the numbers, I think, the absolute, it's a mind-numbing amount of money that goes to these assholes at a time in which, as I just discussed, people are literally dying because they can't pay their rent. And this is this is the United States again, which is why you can't reform your way out of this shit. There's nothing. This cannot be saved. It was built rotten on genocide and slavery, and it will die rotten. And the sooner it will die, the sooner we all can live.